Welcome back, guys. Today we will be ranking all of the 6 main Arrowverse crossovers. Wow. Duet and World's Finest will not be on here because those are crossover episodes. Now, I can do a crossover episode ranking, which would be where another character from another show appears in an episode of another show. Now, that would be about 94 episodes, which I'm not opposed to, because my current main live-action Arrowverse show ranking is about 60, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. But today we're gonna be ranking all the main 6 Arrowverse shows. Heroes Join Forces was an underwhelming crossover. It didn't help that the crossover revolved around 2 not great characters, and Hawkman and Hawkgirl, and not a great villain, Vandal Savage. It also didn't help that it was Arrow Season 4 time, so he was jokey with, like, cold, and it didn't help that Damien Dark was in this. The only good part was basically the Flash Season 2 parts, and seeing Felicity die at the end of Part 1. Flash vs. Arrow, the first crossover, was a very good crossover at the time. I can't really recall any bad things about it. The Flash episode was great, and their episode was but then they brought Captain Boomerang back for Lian Yu, one of the greatest episodes of the Arrowverse. Rainbow Rider was also not a great villain. They didn't have great villains, but these were these characters' first interactions with each other, and I just thought their interactions were great.
Something is wrong with reality. Everyone thinks we're each other. Shape the world as you see fit. You did this to us. You cannot do it. Why would I want to? A crisis is coming.
I do not like Elseworlds as a crossover. I know it's like the crossover for setup for Crisis, but I do not like it. My favorite episode is where they go to Gotham, because Gotham, Batman, one of my favorites. You can probably tell, Batman, Darkest Night, which was Miles' idea, but we're off topic. I know in episode 1, precursor to the Justice League, which technically is what they call it in part 5 of Crisis, due to the Crisis tie-in, and you can see in the back it's Justice League symbol, which is really cool. But I think that's all. Also, the Superman 1978 reference in part 3, that was pretty cool, along with Barry and Kara almost dying like what?
Calling them the Dominators.
That is not the name of a species that comes in peace.
We must exterminate your kind before the scourge of your planet becomes the scourge of ours.
Invasion was a really good crossover, the best crossover at the time. I did not like how Supergirl was marketed as a part of the crossover. It's kind of like how Black Lightning, episode 9 of season 3, is a tie-in to Crisis. It's not part of the main event. But the Supergirl episode was advertised as the main event. Besides that, this crossover is great. Mick giving names to everybody, Supergirl coming to Earth 1 for the first time. This crossover is just really good. And the Barry going out to fight alone, but the whole team of superheroes won't let him. Oh, also the 100th episode of Arrow was in this. The 100th episode was so great that they couldn't get Manu Bennett back to play Deathstroke, but he's under that helmet. And then the time travel aspect from Legends of Tomorrow. This crossover really brought together all of the shows in an interesting way and featured what they do best.
We got incoming. Nazis?
I hate Nazis.
Crisis on Earth X was the biggest crossover we have ever had at the time. It makes Crisis on Infinite Earths, with all the crossovers and the cameos, look like a mailbox next to a tree. I know that's a weird analogy. I'm just looking at my window. This crossover is the only one that had a real lasting impact because Earth X Captain Cold went over to Legends of Tomorrow, and then we got the Freedom Fighters of the Ray, which is one of the worst shows ever produced, and it had a second season that is worse than Arrow Season 4, which I didn't know could be possible. In conclusion, this crossover was really...
Now there is a malevolent force at work, one driven by a singular goal, the destruction of all there is.
There's a wave of antimatter sweeping across this universe, destroying
Crisis on
everything.
Infinite Earths was the greatest crossover to ever come out, with all the cameos and the crossovers, just the cameos alone, without the appearance of Tom Welling's Superman, I wouldn't have gone back and watched. I wouldn't have watched Smallville, which to rank every mid-season premiere, or season premiere, but I wouldn't have discovered my love for Superman, and wouldn't have gone back and watched the Christopher Reeves films for the first time, which are amazing, and just, also, these people didn't look into what these shows cross over with, because there was an Adam West and Batman the Brave and the Bold crossover in one of their episodes, and Batman the Brave and the Bold also crossover with Batman Beyond, which means the whole DCAU is in the Arrowverse now. But we got Doom Patrol, which is an amazing show, and let's just talk about the crossover. The crossover is great. There are 2 bad episodes out of 5. Episode 2 is not that great. Episode 5 is even worse, but Episode 4 is amazing. Episode 1 is amazing. Episode 3, but we got Lucifer. Lucifer is another great show. They hinted at the John Corbin from Constantine when they met John Corbin on Leon U. I can talk about this crossover for forever and how much it will impact, and this crossover had a legacy. That is my ranking for all main 6 Arrowverse crossovers. Now, if you want to see that video that I was talking about the every crossover episode ranked, like the video, and I probably will do it. But I'm working on the season premieres and mid-season premieres. I had it all locked down, but then I read the tie-in comics, and Wonder Woman was in there, so now I gotta watch that, along with Superboy and Lois and Clark, because Mixie's Pitalik.